Hi there. I hope you guys are all doing very well. All right. Let me get this stopped. All right. This is going to be really, it's going to be a very short, very short live. Hi, Jess. It's Janny. I think it's just me and you awake this time of the morning. That's okay. Maybe we're among the best, right? All right, so we'll make this video for posterity. How's that? So we're following closely the saga of Kegan Anthony Kline, aka Anthony double underscore shots, aka Emily Ann, which is crazy, right? I've been racking my brains because I somewhere ran across the a email address, Emily and something something. So I've been trying to find it and haven't found it yet. So I know I did. I just got to find it. Okay, now then. The judge grants motion to move court dates for Kegan Kline after plea deal talks end. Well, that's interesting because that means we may go to trial. So we may get a trial to watch. Um, Indiana has put some of their stuff, made it public. So this may be one we get to watch. I don't know. I'm a little bit like Scott Reich. I'm frustrated that they're not filming these trials and putting them up for everybody to see. Really frustrated by that. I don't like um, I don't like that they get recorded and then court TV gets to pull out what they like and give you their interpretation. I'm an intelligent, well educated person. I have the ability to listen to a trial and come up with my own decisions, right? So I find it uh, I find it incredibly demeaning that the only way we get access to trial information is through court TV. Of course we can get the documents. Okay, so Klein is currently facing 30 charges: child exploitation, child pornography, child solicitation, and this was information that came out yesterday morning. It was updated again last night. So this is Miami County in Indiana. A Miami County judge has granted a motion to delay Kegan Kline's pretrial conference because their pretrial negotiations have broken down. It, and that's a point of discussion, right? That is a question of where did it break down? Did it break down because the prosecutors are unmoving, or did it break down because Kegan Anthony Kline's attorneys are unmoving? So I saw a little interview with um, Kline's attorney. His name is Aki, I believe. Um, he seems like a jerk. Like he seems like one of those attorneys that he didn't really care if you're innocent or guilty. He doesn't really care what the truth is. He just likes the game of trying to get you off, right? I get the defense attorney thing that they're there to protect the civil liberties and the legal protections of the defendant. I get all that, but integrity and ethics matter in anything that we do. Um, I don't know, something about the way Aki he well, I'm gonna stop there. I had a generally negative reaction to his personality. I guess that's the best way to put it. So originally, which is what Anthony Greeno was preparing for, was that he would have his pretrial conference on December the 16th. And that was going to be quite interesting because Chadwell, remember the little girl in the basement? Chadwell was his first hearing also was going to be on December 16th. And so Anthony Greeno's done a lot of work trying to get it set up so that he would have reporting coming from both of those courtrooms. Now that's been changed. So Klein has now been moved to February the 24th, 2022. I hope to God that this doesn't turn into a Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell situation where the perpetual, never-ending trial, right? I mean, the deal with Daybell and Vallow, oh my God. So hopefully it doesn't turn into the circus that is, but we'll wait and see. And I think that the charges that he is facing right now, they do not include murder for Abby and Libby. But again, if we use the Daybell Vallow situation as a parallel, are we moving to that direction, right? I keep going back to this problem. Why did they have evidence in 2017 and fail to act and do nothing till 2020? And then in 2020, they arrest this guy. About 6 or 8 months ago, they opened up a new, what do you want to call it, workroom, which was a location completely separate from the sheriff's office. And it was a place that was dedicated to working on the Abby and Libby murders. It's a little building, off by itself. That was set up, and when that got set up, I thought, are they on to something? Like, why are they setting up a whole building rather than just a room in the sheriff's department, right? After what, 4 years. So that surprised me, or not surprised me. Well, maybe a little, but mostly I was intrigued by it. And then we get this Friday night, excuse me. Okay, we get this Friday night, we get this late Friday night announcement by this handsome young police officer asking for anyone to come forward with if they have been in communication with somebody named Anthony Schatz. And then days later, we find out that the guy that the cops visited 2 days after Abby and Libby were murdered has been in jail for a year, and he is facing charges of child exploitation, pornography, and solicitation. And yes, he is suspected of being connected to Abby and Libby's death. And you think, but you collected and then the affidavit dropped. And you collected this information in 2017. You knew the guy was a creeper of the highest order, a killer of souls. And you wait 3 years to make a move on this guy. Why? And I just can't help but believe that they became so focused on the Abby and Libby murders, the investigation, that they overlooked charging him for the exploitation and solicitation. They overlooked that because they wanted to wait and see if he was going to lead them into some more definitive evidence for the murders, right? You have to wonder about that. Now, Tobe Lesenby, he said the day after the murders, He said, no, we do not believe the community is in danger. Nobody needs to be worried. Sorry, I'm yawning. Um, you don't need to be worried. Everything's okay. And I thought, what do you mean you don't need to be worried? You had two little girls that get murdered. These were actually young women who were athletic and very healthy, and they did not manage to fight off whomever did this to them. Now you're saying nobody else should be worried? What do you know that we don't know? So was it a Brian Laundrie thing? Did they think that, did they have eyes on the guy? They knew where he was. They were watching him. Well, we saw how well that worked out with Brian Laundrie, but anyway, they have come forward. ISP has come forward and said they're very sorry. They're sorry about the whole lapse and arresting and. So what I think is, maybe in a bit unethical or foolish manner, maybe they didn't want to interfere any connection to the deaths of Abby and Libby, and they chose instead to watch him and see, maybe to try to see his wider associate group. And that was the reason that there was no arrest until 2020. I'm just trying to think of how it could have played out. I don't know. I'm just speculating. It wasn't wild speculation because it wasn't dramatic. It was just speculating on what the cops could have been thinking, or was it simply an oversight? Was it confirmation bias that they got so caught up in looking for any information that would tie Anthony Schatz to Abby and Libby that they overlooked the pornography? I don't know. Well, we will find out when there's a trial. And it does look like perhaps it's going to go to trial, which surprises me. But either the prosecutors were unmoving, stoic, standing as a stone wall, as in Stonewall Jackson, or it was the defense attorney who was standing firm, and maybe he's pushing the hand of the prosecution. Maybe he's pushing and he wants to see what they have. But I'm wondering if this is going to turn into a Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow situation where we get into all of this charging for child solicitation, exploitation of pornography, and then boom, the murder charges drop, right? It'd be interesting. It's very interesting situation as it unfolds. So the charges stem from a search. He lives in Peru, Indiana. Kevin. Okay, so I'm using two different names. So Kegan Anthony Kline is the God-given name of the man. And online persona was Anthony _Schatz or Emily Ann. And so that's why I'm kind of using those interchangeably. For those of you that don't really follow true crime. Okay. Now, according to the probable cause affidavit, Klein created several social media accounts with the username Anthony Schatz 6 months before investigators interviewed him in February 2017, which was also 6 months before Abby and Libby were murdered. Also, Anthony Schatz liked one of Libby's photographs on Instagram 50 days before the murder. So Anthony Schatz, the account was created 6 months before they died. There is verified proof that Anthony Schatz was in conversation or in contact, let's say contact, in contact with Liberty 50 days before the murder. And because both of those accounts were set to private, they would have had to have accepted each other as being friends in order for Anthony Schatz to have liked it. That is very compelling. I know that Gray Hughes is he's unhappy. Ugh, I always second guess myself when I try to say things about other creators because I don't want to misrepresent them. I think he is, I don't want to say unhappy. He's a little, he's irritated. He's a bit irritated perhaps, or he finds the attention on Anthony Schatz, the excitement to be premature, the feeling that Anthony Schatz is the murderer. I think Gray Hughes perhaps is skeptical, but maybe skeptical because of, I mean, how many other people have been put on the table as possibilities and it all fell through. I think he's, maybe he doesn't have a lot of faith that this thing is going to be solved. And so it makes it difficult to kind of accept when something new comes out. And I can respect that. But I do think that the creation of the Anthony Schatz profile, the liking of Libby's picture, all the location of his home, that is compelling, right? That's the kind of thing that's really hard for a jury to look away from. Wait a minute. You want me to believe that Mr. Creepazoid, with his child exploitation, child solicitation, child pornography, 30 counts, Mr. Creepazoid, who's stalking little kids online, asking young girls for their addresses, he liked one of Libby's photographs 50 days before the murders, and both their accounts were set to private. And you don't want me to think that that is important. Of course it's important. Absolutely. So it's compelling. It's hard to look away from that. It's hard to ignore that. Just like in the Barry Morphew case, there are a lot of people going, there's no smoking gun. There's no smoking gun. There's nothing, okay. There's no body. There's no, I done it moment, letter, whatever. However, there are some things that are compelling, right? There's some things that are factual that they have verification of that really have no other explanation. Why did he say that he went right when he went left? Oh, and her helmet was discovered laying exactly where he went. Why did he back his truck up in the middle of the night? Why is he running around the house at a certain time of day? Why does he have hypodermic needles filled with animal tranquilizer and just one is missing? Oopsie. Oh, I brought those from Indiana, but I've thrown them away now. Right? So there are some very there's some very interesting, compelling moments that are compelling, that are hard to look away from. And there have been a lot of people that have been found guilty because of compelling information or circumstantial evidence, but not just any circumstantial evidence, something that is really lacks any other definition, no other clear explanation. One of the things that they brought out in Barry Morphew's case, they wanted to say that Barry was answering the telephone in his truck. Now, here you go. Here you go with the whole problem for premeditation for Barry. Okay. And I know, they're out there, they're social media people. Here's your problem for Barry. He made up the story. He took, and I believe he took specific steps to make it look like he was in his truck and he was answering his phone through his truck. That's what I believe. Here's your problem. He may have had the foresight to park his truck next to his room where he could then have his devices connected to his truck, even though he was out of the truck. It would look like he was in his truck, but really he could have been, standing by the window with his truck right there parked. Correct? The problem is that the room that he picked had a camera pointed at his door. Now, is it God at work? Maybe. Maybe the forces of nature aligned, right? But it was one of those things. It was just luck that his and you could see the change in his demeanor when they said, one of the attorneys, I don't remember which side it was, one of the attorneys said, how do you know he did not leave his room? And the attorney said, because we could see the door to his room all day. And they said, what do you mean you could see the room to his door? And they said the camera was looking right at his door and it never opened. He never left the room. Isn't that fascinating? And a little bit of information that hasn't been reported on, I don't think. So Barry, and Barry was shook. He was shook in that moment. So same thing with the Oklahoma bomber. He got away. He made it out of Oklahoma City. He was rolling down 245 out of Portland, Maine, on the road to freedom, except for expired tags on his car. They pulled him over for the expired tags. They let him go. And a couple miles later, just a little bit, he got pulled over again. And they didn't like the way he was acting. They said he just was nervous. He was just all over the place. And about that time, all the news began breaking about what had happened, and they took him in. They got him. They didn't know he was the bomber, but they thought that something is bad, something's wrong. And they used that sixth sense and they got him. So you look at this thing with Anthony Kegan, Anthony Kline. You look at this, you look at the location, you look at the connection to Libby, and you look at the way that the guy looks. Now, is he huge? Yeah, he's big. But it's compelling. It's hard to explain it away. It's very difficult to explain it away. So I'm thinking that this is going to end up like Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, that we're going to have these base charges, and they're not going to announce they're not going to announce the charges for murder until their case is set in stone, ready to move. And at that point, then they'll call in for murder. Okay. Klein Klein admits that he made his account Anthony Shots to contact girls, whether it was girls he already knew or girls that he was trying to get to know. He did not care if the girls were under 16 or over 16. He didn't care. He used Instagram as a hunting ground, and then he would move them over to Snapchat, where the conversations would then disappear. So nobody would know, what he was doing. Now, when they went in and they collected a lot of tech from him, multiple phones, computers, tablets, things like that, and they knew that he had an iPhone, and they couldn't find his iPhone. He was like, "Man, I don't know. I guess I lost it. I don't know what happened to that thing. It's gone." And so, they finish up, they're done, they leave without the iPhone. But then he calls them. He says, "Hey guys, yeah, Anthony here. Stroke a lot, found my phone. I don't know, weirdest thing." So think about Barry Morphew. "Hey guys, yeah, just wanted to let you know, remember that gun we talked about where I was shooting like the little chipmunks, a little chipmunk gun. Remember that? Yeah, I found it. Isn't that the craziest thing? Here, look, here it is. You can have it. Here you go. You can take it." Only later on, Barry had to admit he wasn't shooting chipmunks. So why the hell did he give him the gun? Okay, anyway, different case. So Kegan shows up and says, "Here's my iPhone." They get the iPhone and look at it, and there are conversations with underage girls on the phone. So it looks like he didn't clean it, right? He didn't delete crap out of it, and stuff like that. It was there. But in an unusual move, they found that he uninstalled Instagram and Snapchat on that very day. On the day that he turned the phone into the police, before he did it, he uninstalled. There you go. Compelling, interesting, right? Very, very, almost like leaving the conversations on the phone he thought might distract the investigators. All right. He even had pornographic images that he had saved on the phone and did not try to delete them. But he took the Instagram and Snapchat off his phone. It's so weird. Okay. The release did not identify Kline or call him a person of interest. It did say the Delphi investigators were seeking more information about the account. However, since then, they are now saying that he looks to be connected to the murders of Abby and Libby. On Monday, the Indiana State Police confirmed that detectives are looking at Kline as part of the investigation into the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. All right. Let's see if there is anything new. I think that was really the last. Yeah, I think that's all of it right there. Um, they're acknowledging in their latest release, the Indiana State Police are acknowledging that they pretty well dropped the ball by not arresting this guy in 2017 for the pornography and whatnot. Like so many other pieces of this investigation, we'll always review, learn from, and make any necessary adjustments. We do not believe that any person has done anything intentionally wrong, but we will continue to critically evaluate our efforts. That paragraph, that statement right there, that's them saying we screwed up. We messed up. He should have been arrested, and we messed up. Okay, so that's interesting. It's really interesting. You gotta ask yourself too. Now, okay, wild speculation. Okay, now we're gonna go into wild speculation. Okay. Um, did someone connected to the investigation, an official, a cop, perhaps, did someone make it, did someone facilitate the oversight? Does that make sense? Was there someone in the police department, sheriff's department, state police? Was there someone that did not want Kegan Kline to be arrested? Now there's a question, right? I mean, they're admitting to us in that last release, we totally dropped the ball. We messed up, and it wasn't anybody's fault. We don't think there was any wrongdoing. We're just telling you we messed up. He should have been arrested in 2017. We didn't arrest him in 2020. Was there someone, state police, county, or town, that had a vested interest in keeping Kegan Kline out of jail? Right? There was that one Delphi cop that committed suicide. Thank you. There's been several things that have come out of. I want to be so careful here because I don't want to catch a lot of hate. There have been some questions asked. There have been some okay, let's just leave it at that. There's been some uncomfortable moments connected to some law enforcement, right? I heard the FBI agent that was called out for not wanting some gymnast guy to be arrested may also have been involved with Kegan, but that is wild speculation, right? Okay, that's okay, Mama Bear, because this is a channel where I'm a researcher, right? Research it you can call a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. Research is speculation. Research is taking when you do a dissertation, you have to take two unrelated, previously unconnected phenomenon, ideas, events, and you have to develop a hypothesis for how those two might be related. And then you have to, by using the rules of science and statistics, research design, then you set up a test to see if they're related, and you collect the data, and then you report on your findings. A great deal of the literature review, a great deal of hypothesis development, a great deal of research design is a rose by another name. It's speculation. You're thinking, what if? How could this be? Is it possible? Those are not bad things, okay? Now, if you're a statistician, then it's a very bad thing. You are very uncomfortable with the ambiguous. You want the square peg goes in the square hole. Done. Nothing else. There's either a right or a wrong. It's either a 1 or a 2, right? And that's a diff according to the way people's minds work, then they think in a different manner. If you read about gardeners, different intelligences, the mind experiences things in molar fashion, but it acts as a collective one. And so you may have people that are like super, super, super good in communication with other people, social stuff. But if you take that same person that thrives in a social setting and you make them spend a week alone in a hotel room, they're going to go bat, crazy. However, all the introverts of the world, the people that love accounting, things like that. When COVID came and everything went on lockdown, they looked around and said, "What? Why is everybody going crazy? We've been doing this for the last 20 years." Right? So we're all different. We all think differently. Some of us read and remember every single word. We write with eloquence, but we suck at math. But those same people that don't have not 1 ounce of reading comprehension, they can't remember anything. They hate poetry. They can't even quote an author because they don't have an author. Those people can be brilliant with numbers, right? So we all think differently, and that's why you get different. That's why on YouTube, we can take the same story. In this particular video, we're talking about Delphi. We can take the same exact story, and whether I'm talking about Delphi or Gray Hughes is talking about Delphi or Anthony Greeno's talking about Delphi or Harvey Carroll's talking about Delphi or what is it? True Crime Bloke in England, in Great Britain. Depending on or Tiffany Marie or AB, Molly Golightly, all of us, our focus is a bit different. The way we talk about it is a bit different, and it is an expression of the way that our minds work, whether we're analytical, whether we're a global thinker, whether we're heavily extroverted, whether we are a linear thinker, whether we are a circular thinker. It just depends on what your personal, the way your brain is connected due to your genetics and then the experiences you've had since birth. So they all come out a bit different, right? That's why they look different. Where I begin to cringe is when Gray Hughes, I don't mean just him. There's a lot of people that say the same thing he does. That when you're talking about true crime on YouTube, it should only be the facts. You should only say exactly what's been reported. But doesn't that become an echo chamber then? If that's all we're going to do, then why do we exist? If all we're going to do is to get an article or get an affidavit from the court and read it, here's the facts, ma'am, nothing but the facts, and then there's nothing else, well, then you're going to have 500 channels all making the very exact same video. So how are you going to choose who you're going to go watch? Who's prettier? That's just silly, right? You watch all these different channels because each of the creators gives you a new a new perspective or a different factor, a different way, a different filter to look at the same information. Is that correct? Does that make sense? Or yeah, True Crime Jesus, exactly. Oh, he got hacked? No. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. Yeah, so but go after I finish my video, please. Okay. You don't have to leave right now. Okay. Um so so for Gray Hughes, because the way his mind works and what he does, what his skill set is and that kind of thing, he is very comfortable with facts, and he's a linear thinker, and everything has purpose and goes in a certain order, right? And that's highly desirable in some fields, but in other fields, that is something that would be a handicap. It would make it very, very difficult to do whatever, so we all, Molly, go lightly. Would I get on an airway? I can't say that. I was fixing to say, would I get on an airplane and go run around someone's house? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't go because I don't want to intrude on their privacy. They have not been found guilty. They haven't been charged with a crime. No, I wouldn't. However, the reason I stopped myself and laughed and thought, oh, maybe that wasn't a very good description, but I guess it was. I did get on an airplane and go to the preliminary hearing for Barry, but he had been charged and arrested. I wasn't intruding on his privacy. And I will tell you this, when I was in the courtroom, I never looked at his family. I kept my eyes down or kind of had my back to them. There were like 2 times that I saw them, but it was just because they came within my field of view. I wasn't like looking to see what they were doing. For that same thing, people have the right to privacy, and it's sacred. And I wouldn't want to have to be in a fishbowl, everybody looking at me, if I were in that situation. So anyway, but I'm not throwing shade at Molly and I don't remember, I don't know the names of those other people that went with her. Though what they did is a reflection of their personalities and how they process information, right? That they're the same kind of, I mean, isn't that what you call gonzo reporting, right? I think it is, where you're there and you make yourself a part of the story. So and then there's I love Real Chill Graz. So Real Chill Graz is doing great work, but again, a reflection of his personality. He is a very kind and gentle person, I think. And so he feels most comfortable when things are fair, right? So he doesn't like a lot of this drama and a lot of grab it, the exhibitionism and the high emotion and all that is very uncomfortable for him. And so he feels like that's a little bit, maybe that's not right. Maybe people shouldn't do that. But for me, where I'm sitting in terms of my level of understanding, I guess, it's all perfectly normal. There's not one channel better or worse than the other channel. It's just that you're seeing the product of different types of thought. You're seeing the product of different levels of personality, right? And I think that's why people get so addicted to YouTube when they find something they're interested in, is because they get such an amazingly rich level of comprehension on the topic because they're getting this product that's covering the vast array of the totality of human beings' cognition. What I'm really, really good at is exactly the opposite of what Gray Hughes is good at, which is why we don't like each other. We process things dramatically different. But neither one of us is bad or good or wrong, or we're just, this is an expression of cognition, right? All right. Well, and they may answer for that, critters. Last thing I heard is that there were arrest warrants, right? Am I accurate about that? Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. 27 years. It has had highs and lows, still married. Both of us are alive. Good, Grandma. I'm so glad you hadn't killed him. Can't live with him, can't shoot him, right? All right. Still is raw to me. I know, Chihuahua, but I'm teaching, or I shouldn't say I'm not teaching down to y'all. This is my level of, this is my understanding. Does that make sense? This is the way I conceptualize my experience on YouTube. YouTube has been, well, let me say this. So Dr. Salerno, Doctora Latina, psychiatrist, a practicing psychiatrist, okay? It was really great when she came on the scene. And I thought, this is so great. This is so great to have really, we're going to have such great factual knowledge, right? How long did it take for YouTube bullshit to eat her up? How long did it take? It was predictable, wasn't it? It was almost exactly the amount of time it took to get to me. And I backed off for a few months and I thought, maybe I'll abandon this. Maybe this is, maybe this isn't what I want to do. And then I thought, no, I like this. I like this platform. I like all these people, I like this. I don't want to give it up because there's these, hate gangs. And so I powered through, and I'm still fighting the fight, but still, I'm here. But she said, no, I don't want to do it. And Chris McDonough, he's powering through. I would expect Chris McDonough was in shock when he met the YouTube haters. I would expect that in his career, he had never experienced what he encountered here. What do y'all think? Do y'all think he had? I bet he was shocked. I do. Because he's, with fame, you are given instant credibility, right? And so here he was on YouTube, and everybody knew he was this TV detective guy. And so a lot of people loved him just because he was famous, and you kind of have that expectation that you're going to be treated with respect. It's just an expectation, right? And I bet he was blown away. Well, congratulations, Anna. I'm so happy for you, honey. I always laugh when I see somebody celebrating the anniversary of their divorce. Freedom! Like Ireland, right? Yeah. Oh, I think Chris McDonough was in shock when he faced the YouTube hate gang. They can be, I'll tell you what they can do. They can make you remember your raising. You know what I mean by that? They can make you remember where you came from, that you're not this big, important, person. They can really cut you down and put you in your place. There's no instant credibility found on YouTube. So, but but anyway, I'm going to tell y'all this. I have a lot of admiration for him. That he isn't, he's not bowing to, he's not caving, to it, that he's trying to find his way and he's trying to do it right. And that's admirable. Would you agree? Not that you don't run away from, you know, um, difficult situations, that you just try to learn more and do figure out what it takes to be successful, right? That's the name of the game. It is one of the reasons, though, why, for me specifically, but it's just like my son said. He said, Mom, he said, I love you. He said, you're so weird, but I love you. So um he, I love the thing that I love the very, very most. I love, I guess, thinking, right? I like the way that it feels when you're actively looking for a solution. And that's why I just took classes. I mean, I've been in school my entire life, literally, because I like it. That's the only reason I go, and that's just what I do. YouTube ended up completely new, but it gave me, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what it takes. I'm trying to figure out how you maneuver this so-called algorithm. I don't even know if there is an algorithm. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't really know if it is true, but I agree, hybrid. McDonough he is adapting. There's no doubt. And I think that is so admirable that he's kind of like me. He's trying to figure out the rules. He knows what he wants to do, and he is willing to change, not a lot, but enough to at least assimilate into the YouTube model. It's something that he's never encountered before. He's not a star, he's accustomed to being a star. He's used to that. And that didn't get him anywhere here. In fact, it probably made it harder for him. Made him a bigger target, in my opinion. And I think he did wrong. Please don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that, I don't think he did anything wrong. He did. I don't think he should have done what he did to the guy on Twitter. I don't even think of his name now, but I could see where there are crazy people in this world. And I thought, if you could get somebody hurt by saying this guy is the guy that hurt Gabby, and there was an address, right? There was an address and a location, and you're like, well, it wasn't him. No, but somebody else lived at that address. What if there was a young 20-something-year-old bald kid living at that address? And now he becomes the target of an internet crazy. So, look, he really, from his perspective, he's just doing what he does. He's used to investigating. Thank you, Anna. Aren't you sweet? Thank you so much. Let me congratulate you again on your separation. No, you're funny. Thank you. I hope you will subscribe and join us, Anna. Thank you. No, I think that he does. He's a deductive. He goes out and he collects all this information, and then he looks for connections, right? And that seems really ambiguous to other people. It seems really soft. Like, how can you make that connection? But that's what you're doing if there's two unknowns and you're trying to put them together so they have meaning. So I don't think that he did anything wrong in looking at that account, but I don't think it should have been spoken of in such a definitive manner, right? It should have been, could it be? Is it? Well, maybe, but we don't know. It should have been a little more wishy-washy than that. So and those things came down. The things that I really had a problem with ended up coming down. But yeah, you got to admit he's trying to figure this out. This is something he wants to do. He enjoys it. You can tell he has fun. He's laughing. He's talking to the people, and all that. So that's admirable that he's trying to take all of his old experiences, and he's trying to figure out now what part of that is useful on YouTube and what part of that is a disaster on YouTube. Right? Okay. And I too am doing the same. So, all right. So back to the Delphi thing. Yes, they've admitted they dropped the ball by finding the pornography in 2017, 2 days after Abby and Libby were murdered. In an inexplicable move, there were no arrests made, and they have admitted to us there should have been an arrest, period. But they're not apologizing, which tells me it wasn't a mistake. Does that mean that it was intentional? And so then you have to wonder, were they working undercover? Was there or is there an undercover investigation where they know that there's this child pedo ring, and they were trying to get to the heart of that and not just arrest one piece of the puzzle, but to get the majority or as many of them as possible, right? It's interesting that Chadwell, he comes on the radar because he hurts this little girl, nearly kills her. I think he was trying to kill her, but he hurts the little girl. He gets arrested, and then how much after that do we end up with Klein getting arrested? Right? Or not arrested, but the story of him comes out. The police they get active in the investigation again and talk about him. So I keep coming back to this too, okay? I have compared where we were able to get voice recordings. I have compared Bridge Guy to all these voice recordings. Now, full disclosure, someone who does voice analysis, I don't do voice analysis. I don't even know what that is. Okay. Someone who does voice analysis has said there's not enough on the clip for guys downhill. There's not enough on the clip to do a good, and what he's meaning is a statistically sound comparison, a scientifically sound comparison. It's just too limited to pick up a pattern, right? But we're humans, and we have ears, and we have brains that are better than any supercomputer on the planet. So I play that clip in different contexts, and right behind it, the recording that we get from these different people. Some of the people, you throw it out immediately. You're like, hell no, ain't no match. Can't hear it. Okay, out the door, gone. But you can refine down. And I have 2 clips that I would hang my hat on as being highly possible. Not highly likely, but highly possible. And who are they? Y'all tell me, who are the 2 clips? Just keeping it real here. Crazy Jules channel. Chadwell. Absolutely sounds like Chadwell. And who? The Great White Hunter. Right? There you go, Yvette. Very good. It's chilling, okay? I was watching something the other night. I think it was Greenow's channel. I was watching True Crime Investigates, and a clip came up where they were playing bridge guys saying guys down the hill, and my brain said, I saw Barry Morphew. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't think I can get sued for the way my brain works. Can I? Can I get sued for that? If I hear the clip, it just pops in my head. It sounds so much like him. I'm gonna tell you something else too, AK. Hear me now. I don't have a negative. My position, my opinion on AK is he is a very good person. I'll tell you what my opinion is based on. Watching him, I mean, obviously there's been interactions related to this case, the Barry Morphew case and all that. All that normal kind of stuff. But I've watched him. He's gone live. He went live with me one night for like 4 hours, 4 hours. In that period of time, he was in his house. He was in his living room. No, he's the man in the kitchen. We have a lady in the kitchen and a man in the kitchen. You can see his kitchen back behind him, and his family was there, and all of his cats were there. And so you're watching someone for 3.5, 4 hours and how they're interacting and relating with the people that live in their home with them. You can get a pretty good idea of what kind of person they are, right? I mean, anytime he speaks to his kids, his voice drops down lower. He's very calm. He's always using like words of endearment for his kid. Yeah, he's the real deal. He's not a fake. I promise you. He had another live that he did that's on his channel, where he was out in his garage and he was working on he like polishes rocks by hand, not like a rock polish, not like a rock tumbler, but actually by hand. Again, you can hear him having interactions with his children, his wife, and his friend that lives near to him. His interactions with them are they reflected incredible. I think he's a genuine guy. I think he's a genuine person. I believe that to the point that I would, probably throw myself on my sword to. I don't fall into the gang stalking. I won't follow the crowd just to hate another person or take another person down. But if there's someone that I think is not a kind person, someone that has hurt people, then I will absolutely say that too, even if they're the most well-loved person on YouTube. I'm not a hypocrite. I have my opinions, but my opinions are formed after careful, consideration. So AK is one of those people that I think he's I think he's a good person. I really do. I think he's a kind and gentle person. But anyway, that was a tangent. That's what we call tangential thought. Okay. All right. And I am prone to tangential thought at times. Okay. Thomas, his channel is AK Rocks, ROX. So let me see if I'll pull it, get his link. One of the mods, y'all may not be able to, I don't know if y'all can ever, I don't ever know if y'all can post links or not. Hold on. I'll get it for you, Thomas. He's a nice guy. He does all the work on Suzanne Morphew and the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew. He lives very near he lives in, let me say this. He lives in Colorado, and he's an outdoorsman kind, and he likes to go traipsing through the woods, searching for missing people. Yeah. And so that's how we made friends. I was covering the Morphew case, and he was actually part of the search party looking for her. There's his link. And so that's how we all made friends. Anyway, So with Delphi, this guy, it is I have not yet made a decision whether they did not arrest in 2017 because they had an ongoing investigation and they felt like if they arrested Klein, perhaps it would have interfered with an undercover operation that was happening for CP and child abuse. So that's possible explanation. Or maybe there was an unethical or inhuman police officer who wanted to keep Klein out of jail, who had some ulterior motives and was able to facilitate the overlooking of an arrest or charges for the pornography. So I don't know what the answers are to that. I really don't. But this is not a simple to deal with this Anthony Rocks. I mean, Anthony, I was looking at Hybrid Pisces statement. Anthony Klein, Kegan Anthony Klein. This isn't a simple creeper and now we're going to get him and he'll go to jail for 2 or 3 years and be out again. I think the murder charges are coming. I do. I think it's coming. And I think that they're going to finish out the murder investigation. The prosecutor is getting his case together. And I think that when the time comes, he's being processed right now for the pornography, solicitation, and exploitation. Just like with Lori and Chad, it was I don't remember what the original charges were. Was it something to harm a child? I need to go back and look that up. I don't remember what the original charges, but they were lesser charges. All of them were only like 1 year, but the collective total she would have gotten around 10 years, something like that. And then wham, bam, and it was a shock to Mark Means. You could see it on his face when it came down that the first hint that they were looking at murder charges in Arizona, you could see the look on his face. He was like, wait a minute. What the hell are they doing? So the Lori Vallow case, Mark Means is out of his league. Period. Yeah, it was abandonment, but I was thinking there was something about child endangerment because there were several charges. It wasn't just a simple abandonment charge. It was some other stuff. Anyway, I need to go back and look. But anyway, I think they're going to do the same thing with Klein. I think murder. I don't think it's off the table with him. I think they're going to charge him with Abby and Libby. I do. I think so. All right. Okay. Do you think he acted alone? Well, Lady of Angels, that is an interesting question because I would then come back and say, what do you mean by alone? Are you saying was there only one person at the bridge that day? One person at the murder site? Or are you saying one person that knew about it, right? Hey, Arctic Cat, welcome. Hey, Fridge Apple Tart. I'm not giving up. I've already been through the hell and the nightmare of the hater. Well, the haters are always there, but no, I'm good. So I've always felt, this is going to stir up some of the freaks. I am not convinced. Let me say it this way. I am not convinced that there was not a car waiting down the hill. Okay, there's a road that the girls once they went down the hill, they would have crossed over the road to get to the stream, to the river, right? I'm not convinced that there was not a car waiting down there. In my mind, I can see a scenario where there was a car or a truck that was waiting, that bridge guy was on that side of the tracks waiting, and as soon as the girls got more than halfway over the bridge, he came out walking toward them. He passed them, and then once he was sure there was no one behind him, behind the two girls, then he doubled back on them, and that is what alarmed Libby, and that's why she began recording. He said down the hill, and he put them into a car or a truck. That's what I think happened. The search was called off. Why? Why do you have two teen girls? I'm talking young teen, not 19. We're talking 13, 14. You've got two little girls, freezing weather, freezing that night. They had left their homes with a sweater. That's all. They were not prepared to face the elements at all. You call off the search because you decided it's too dangerous. You're the damn sheriff of the county, and you have got a hotline to the Indiana State Police, and they have floodlights. They have helicopters. So it's too dangerous for your officers. So we're going to sacrifice two little girls? Really? Does that not strike anyone as unusual, strange? You also have the problem or the situation that in the initial reporting, Mike Patty is recorded by a TV station as saying Libby's phone is pinging all over town, meaning that her phone, she looked like she was traveling all about town. And there have been some people who have tried to say, oh, well, that's, what do they call that? It's a Wi-Fi phenomenon where the signal drift. You're not going to signal drift for 20 miles. There was a huge tower, literally 400, 500 yards from her body, from her phone. There was no reason for that signal to be handed off to towers in town. So without all the hysteria of people going, oh, you're wrong, without all that, turning a deaf ear to that, with full knowledge that if this thing ever goes to trial, there will be someone who is an expert in cell signal, and they will address what happened that night. Why was her phone there? A huge AT&T tower right across the street, literally across the street from her, but her phone was pinging up on the other side of Delphi? How? So in my mind, I think about this when I'm engaging in these moments. I almost see a truck or car waiting. Maybe it was his car. Maybe it was still only one person, but he left his truck parked at the bottom of the hill. Then he gets them in the car. Now he's got them contained, drives them wherever he wants to, does whatever he wants to. And then in the wee early hours of the morning, they weren't supposed to even start looking for him again until 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning was when they were going to start. What the hell, Tobe? You can't get up with the chickens? Get out of the damn bed at 6 o'clock like the rest of America. So could their bodies have been returned 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m.? Hell yeah, absolutely. So that is the way. That's one of the crime scene flows. That's one of the ways that I see that it works with the knowledge that we have, right? It was definitely an instruction down the hill. That was definitely the perpetrator controlling the environment. Not go, just go. Shut up, don't talk, go. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he wanted them to do, which is another reason that makes me think that there was a car waiting. And once you get them in the car, then you are controlling the environment 100%. There is no environmental control. An old fat guy following behind two young women who are both athletes. You're going to walk them how far down the river and across the water and up the hill, and you're not going to be tired and out of breath? What? That makes no sense. He's Sue Ellen. But if you got a car waiting and you get them down the hill in the car, and the handle to open the door, all of that has been dismantled, you are in 100% control. They are locked in that car. They are imprisoned. And you, the one fat guy, old guy, you have control of these two young, strong, athletic females. See my point? All right. I thought this was a crime of opportunity. Clearly, it was planned. It has a lot of hallmarks for it being planned, Lady of Angels. And there's not very many people that will say that online because you get bullied if you say the wrong thing. If you say the wrong thing, then the Delphi social media police will come and tell you you are wrong, and that what happened is that they walked across the road and they walked up the river, and then they walked across on the little sandbar, and then they came up out of the water onto the land by the tree, where they then went so many feet, and then I guess Abby was told to sit there and watch her friend get murdered and raped, or they weren't raped, but murdered, and don't say a word. And when I'm done with her, then I'm going to come over and I'm going to finish you. And Abby said, okay, and didn't try to run, even though she was probably could run like a deer. No, didn't happen that way. But that is the narrative that has been rammed down everyone's mind in the YouTube sphere, and you are not allowed to even question the possibility that it could be something else. And I don't care if it is the actual narrative that he did in fact walk them across the road, up the river, across the sandbar, and then up the hill. That's whether it was that situation or whether it was a waiting car, any of that, it has no kind, I have nothing invested in either situation other than understanding how it could have happened. That's it. All right. Thomas Tier, there were stuffed animals. Hey, Just Jax, how are you? Latest live, the girls say he has a gun. They absolutely will. And most likely my mind was quite scary. The details will be brought to light and people will be shocked. No, I said that not long ago, Anna. I felt like that this was going to be a case that when it all came out in court, that it will be really different than what many of us have thought. That I think it is going to be shocking. I do. And the thing that I can't get past, I definitely agree. Going up the river, there's definitely a good sandbar to get across. I see all of that. I can't in my mind. I don't understand unless he had handcuffs. Can we be honest? Maybe there were handcuffs. I can't figure out how do you keep two girls. I think you keep control of them as you're walking. I can see that. Okay, and I'm a specialist, I'm a pediatric psychologist. I specialize in developmental children, cognition and learning and all that. So dealing with a young teen and you're an older person, you definitely could control them just by being stern, right? Just by making uh, the power differential alone would be enough to make some teenagers follow your direction. So I'm fine with that. I don't have any trouble with that. Where my trouble comes, Anna, is when the violence starts. Now, when the violence starts, here's the problem. The girls being compliant is because they're avoiding violence, right? This is what they're afraid of. They don't want yelling. They don't want to be hit. They don't want anybody to get hurt, which is why it's easy to control them with your stern gestures and using your age as a power differential. But the moment that the violence begins, Anna, now fight or flight is going to kick in, and they're already being confronted with what they were trying to avoid, and they're going to run. Whoever got hurt first, the other one is either going to fight or run. So it doesn't make sense the way that we were told the crime scene looks. It doesn't make sense. In fact, word is that Abby lived for quite some time through the night. So I can't get it in my head. How do you do that amount of damage with Libby and Abby just hangs around and it doesn't try to get away? So it is a terrible. We also have to remember this. We don't know what the cops know. And they may have so much information that they know exactly what happened. But it's not our business to know. It's none of our business to know. We're here as discussed. It's sort of like the new age water cooler. We're just standing around the water cooler having a discussion about the possibilities. I'm not a detective. I'm not out investigating the murders of the Delphi girls. I'm learning, I'm seeing what all's been put out there, and then I'm speculating and think about and wonder what could it be? You think the car would have been on the dirt driveway by the bridge? I always thought there wasn't a good place to have a car waiting. Yeah, there's a road. There's an actual road, yeah. Hey, BBT, welcome. When you have info on someone and you can hold it against, hold on. When you have info on someone and you can hold it against them so they comply. Blackmail, is that what you mean? That maybe he could say, I know you did this, and so you better if you don't do what I want you to do, then I'm going to tell your parents? Maybe. Absolutely. Yeah. 20 plus members of our church have COVID, the Omni variant. The 2 are on ventilators, not doing well, so we're very frightening. The research update that we got when did it come out? I think it came out last Friday, that they had only had one death with the Omni variant. That it's not making people very sick. But if that's what's going on at your church, that's terrible. Oh, hybrid. Yeah. That's people already know that it's fine. People know that there was a gun. That doesn't change anything. That's not a big deal. It well, freeze is a different thing, Chihuahua. Um, no, no. I'm reading the comments, critters. I was trying to parse out what Jax and hybrid are talking about. I saw the text messages. What were the text messages, hybrid? Good morning, TCE. How are you? I'm only going to be on a few more minutes, and then I got to go to work. I live my life at work. I am weary. They did not go often, critters. But it is a very common hangout for the kids their age, and that they would go occasionally. So it wasn't like a weekly weekend thing that they did. It was out of the ordinary that they would go. The girls were manipulated beforehand to share nude pictures, so BG had blackmail. Yeah, I mean, I could. That sounds reasonable. 12 step. Yeah, I would have. I can't say I would agree because we don't know, but I definitely think it's likely, especially after we know about Kegan Kline. Thank you, Chihuahua. You know what, Chihuahua? The other night, uh, sometimes with what one of my work locations, um, there's it's sometimes it's very difficult to work there. So I'd had we'd had it'd been a bad day. So, but I'm good now. I'm okay. Sorry. I'm a freeze, but nobody's ever tried murdering my friend. I hope I'd run or fight. Um, so generally, I don't think I have time to talk about this though, because I've got to be up in 10 minutes. Freeze is a cognitive problem. Fight or flight is a anxiety reaction, right? So it's two different situations. If your body, if you don't really if you're not hypersensitive to like what would be what something that like what you might consider as being like a panic attack, or if you like a jump scare, some people are easy to stimulate and some people are slow to stimulate. So somebody like Gonzo, right? Y'all know who Gonzo is? He jumps off mountains with, you know, without a net. He does really dangerous things, um and it doesn't bother him. It has no effect on him. His heart doesn't go start pounding. He does not feel fear like you and I feel fear. So for Gonzo to find himself in a fight or flight situation, it's not likely. He could go into a burning building and not be hindered by the intense, you know, epinephrine. He could think very clearly and make good choices being inside of a burning building. It wouldn't rattle him. He wouldn't be upset. For me, if I walk in a pan of bacon grease is on fire in my kitchen, I'm going to be shrieking in horror. Okay. I'm very easy to stimulate. so the difference between fight or flight, which is really the same thing. Okay. Fight or flight is exactly the same from a physiological perspective. Fight or flight is exactly the same thing. Your brain perceives danger. Oh my God, there's a dinosaur. It's going to eat me, T-Rex. And then with all this intense power that you now have, I'm talking about physical strength. With this intense strength you have, you're either going to fight if you're so close that you don't think you can run away, or you're going to run away if you think you can run really fast, right? The freeze phenomenon, it has nothing to do with fight or flight. It's a completely different problem. The freeze phenomenon is where someone is having problems generating a solution when faced with a novel idea. So they find themselves in a situation that's frightening or dangerous or scary, and they can't decide what to do. So it's two different things. You got to remember, it all comes back to experience. Every single thing in the world, everything you do, from the moment you brush your teeth to you know, when you can't sleep and you decide to get up in the middle of the night and eat a bowl of ice cream. All of that, it's all generated by the sum total of every single thing you've ever experienced from the time you came into this earth. Okay. You cannot parse it apart effectively. We parse it apart in big global molar sections, but none of that is 100% reliable. It's, you know, if we can do if we can get a predictive, let's see, we do a multiple regression analysis. If you can get to one piece that's 17% predictive, that is enormous. That's how poor we do in actually parsing apart people's motivations. Hopefully you're going to get to 30, 32 with all your factors combined. But a single factor in a multi-factor analysis, really poor. I mean, we're just not good. It's people are so dynamic. Situations are constantly changing. It's very difficult to predict, right? Based on one thing. So for someone who has a tendency to freeze, maybe that is because that person has not really done things to be very physically active. So let's say that you're okay, obviously me, okay? I always like to use myself as an example because I know myself best. I've always been a student of some sort, so you would naturally assume I was fairly sedentary, but I also rode horses and gymnastics and all that, but the greatest majority of my time has been sedentary. But I have a lot of friends that have always been completely sedentary. I came from a family that were all athletes. I'm talking about real athlete, very, very athletic. And so I didn't really, if I'd had my choice, probably no, because I loved my horseback riding. I don't know, maybe that wasn't a good example. But anyway, so someone like Gonzo, he's constantly on the move. He's constantly on the go. Everything he does is physical, right? And so if he finds himself in a precarious situation that's going to require his physical prowess, then his brain has had so many experiences physically that it can generate a solution very quickly without his awareness. It just magically sort of pops in. It's not magic, but it feels magic. The solution magically pops in, and maybe he moves his fingertips a half an inch to the left, and now he can hang on, right? It's just but if I'm hanging on the side of a rock wall, Gonza, don't lose respect for me, okay? If I'm hanging onto the side of a rock wall and there's not, a 3-foot ledge for me to stand on, I'm going to be screaming in horror, and I'm going to freeze. I'm not going to know what to do because I haven't ever hung on a rock wall before. My brain doesn't know what that is. My brain is going to go, "Are you crazy? What the hell have you gotten us into now, lady? What the hell are you doing hanging on the side of a damn mountain? Get off," right? Okay, so I haven't given my brain those experiences. It's not there. So I would freeze. I wouldn't know what to do. My daughter, here's another example. So she came into the world hell bent for leather, right? I mean, she went from sitting to all out run. What the day that she started walking was only about 3 days after she started pulling herself up on the side of the sofa. So that was her first thing, was to pull up on the sofa, and everybody's like, "Oh, yay, woo, we're beginning to walk. It's so awesome." And I'll never forget it. I was looking at her. She had pulled up onto the side. I was sitting on the floor. We were playing. And I saw her, and she pulled up, and she looked over at a toy, and she let go of the sofa and turned her whole body toward the toy, but her feet stayed where they were, and she fell flat on her face. And she crawled right back over to the sofa and pulled up and did it again. And she turned around, crawled back over, and by the time I had her, I knew about child development, what she shouldn't be able to do. And I was in amazement. I was going, what is she doing? It's crazy that she's trying to walk. And literally the third time, she took like 4 or 5 steps before falling, but then she fell face down, and then she reached out and she got the toy. She got herself close enough that she got the toy. I thought, she is going to be a handful. She was going to be so hard to deal with. Anyway, she just was right. And of course, because she didn't get very good at walking, she would just lean forward and then her little feet would just run. So she would go from standing to running. And therefore, she always had black eyes and stitches and cuts and bruises. And I mean, she was rough. Okay. I mean, she was rough. One time, she had, let me think if I remember all of it. We had an old frame built house, right? And she was standing at the front door. She'd stand and look out the screen door and yell at the puppies and watch her older brother playing with his friends in the front yard and whatnot. And as she's standing there, the screen door came open and she slid down 2 concrete stairs at face first. And so she had what looked like, the strawberries that you get when you slide into the base in baseball. She had a strawberry that went from her, top of her forehead, all across her eye, her nose, and then down to the opposite cheek, chin. So, I mean, her whole face was scraped and bloody and bruised and whatnot. And so I, swept her up off to the clinic. We went and they got it all cleaned up, everything. Went back home. Maybe 2 days later, she turned around and she went to head across the room and she, her little legs just going behind her and she fell forward and there was a speaker that was sitting there and the very tip of it hit her right on her cheekbone, like right on the cheek. So thank God it didn't hit her eye, but it hit her right on the cheek, busted the skin open, humongous goose egg, right on her cheek, eye swelled shut, and everything. Grabbed her, ran up to the clinic again. There had been a week where we had been in the clinic 3 days. And my doctor, who had been my doctor since I was, in like high school, he said, "I'm so sorry." And I said, "What?" He said, "We have to screen you for CPS." I said, "I understand." So, yeah. So, and for a while, I mean, she literally looked like somebody had really beat her bad. And we would go places, people just look at us like, "You monsters." So she, she's one of those people, she just physically really intense, right? She does all kinds of cool things. Anyway, we were in Belize. Were we in Belize? I don't know. We were somewhere in South America, and they were going to jump into this hole that would go down into down into a cave, and then you would end up in water, right? So you're up on top of this mountain. And then you jump in this hole and you go down through this hole and then you're in a cave and now you're in the water. Does that sound like fun to you? Me neither. Okay. So they had to ride 4-wheelers to get to this place. Okay. And so she and my son went, and he's 10 years older than her. So he's kind of like a dad. And so they go to do this. And they get out there, and of course, my son's telling me the story later, and he's just laughing, right? And he said it was all guys, and we were all standing around, we're all looking down the hole, and we're all kind of like, maybe I don't want to jump. What was I thinking? Maybe this was a bad idea, right? And so she's standing there, and she's listening to them, and she's looking at the hole. And my son said before he knew it, next thing he knew, he saw her and she was flying through the air and suddenly she disappeared down into the hole. And there she was. So she was the first one that made the jump and went all the way down. And he said that his heart was pounding, and he was freaking out. And he's like, "Oh my God, my little sister," And he said he leaned over and he could hear her down laughing at the bottom. So someone like her, in a situation that would require her to physically respond, her brain is going to come up with a solution very quickly. And so she doesn't freeze. But someone like me, I could very well freeze in a physical, something that required a physical solution. I may not be able to generate a physical solution. All right. Good memories, right? Okay. All right. Yes. I I have a little hellion for a daughter. And Arctic Cat's got the same girls, right? I know. I feel you, Arctic Cat. I feel you. So I can tell you this, Arctic Cat, when she was trying to play T-ball, she was so rough that she was hurting the other boys, like on the other team. And so they had to move her up. So she had to move up to coach pitch. Yeah. She's an interesting, and of course what makes it really funny is she's so pretty. She's so pretty, but boy, she is physically, she is on the go. She is awesome. So all right. Well, I think I will put it into I wasn't expected to live. I got lucky. Oh my goodness, critters. I'm gonna have to go back and read the side chat. All right. Y'all can tell I'm in love with my two kids. I have the greatest two kids on the planet. But one of my jokes that I make is check out True Crime Rocket Science on the Baldwin case. Great info. I absolutely will, Hybrid. Thank you. I love True Crime Rocket Science. I didn't always. I used to call him a misogynist pig. You remember that? But then he started going live all the time, and he realized, hey, and he's awesome now. I don't miss any of his shows. Okay. All right, everybody. I gotta go to work. Wish I didn't, but I do. Somebody got to pay the bills. And I listen, if you enjoyed the live, I hope you'll subscribe. Thumbs up or thumbs down, depending on whether you enjoyed it. And if you don't mind, would you please share it on your social media? YouTube is really not sharing videos. It's pretty staggering. I got 52% of my views came from Google searches. That's crazy. 1.7% came from recommended videos by YouTube. They are not sharing. So please help me get my videos out. I would appreciate it. Okay. All right. Y'all have a very happy, wonderful, awesome, wonderful day. It's Wednesday. Whoop, 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 whoop. We're on the downside to Friday. Okay. Y'all have a great day.